or something which looks extreme and looks overconfident, but actually is just like he knows exactly what to do in 99% of the cases and how much he really has to dedicate to the defense. And then only when someone really surprises him or, a little bit of a micro hiccup, which happens very rarely, does it feel like he actually gets pushed back on that. So that's what I've personally seen. But as I said, on the desk, it seems like whenever that does happen, he gets very angry at himself and then just goes like Hulk mode and defeats the guy like in the next 2 games with no pity.
I like that you describe it as Hulk mode, because like I just picture or envisage little Clem over here just get really freaking big and angry. But he is really damn good. Like, he's an absolute pleasure to watch. If there's one potential weakness that I see when I watch him, it's that very often it will be like 6 to 8 Hellions and a Liberator every game against Zerg, which, sometimes you have to vary it up a little bit. But he's definitely showcased that he can actually micro those units exceptionally well. And I said he was predictable. Like I said, it was maybe a weakness. And here he is going 3cc to start off this series against a player like Vanya. He also scouted with an SCV early on, just to make sure he wasn't against anything too cheeky. And I love this little mix-up by him.
Yeah, that's good to see. I think you're right. He does sometimes go into that habit of just, the typical stuff, but very, very microable stuff. But we are seeing a little bit of a development of TVZ in general, aren't we, to Muslim, where it felt like Cure kind of started it a couple of weeks ago, just that the mass Widow Mines and almost exclusively off that 3rd CC 211 kind of setup. And then we saw TY also do it. I mean, the 3cc 211 has been a build for a while, and it's kind of one that you would bring out occasionally, but then we've been seeing it, I feel like, more and more, and then also with that faster second factory. So that's what I'm going to be paying attention to for Clem, and see if he's, because it feels like such a style that like mass Widow Mine drop and then also double drops with Marines. It just feels like something that Clem would be amazing at.
Yeah, it does take a lot of multitasking. I know people would be like, oh, it's just shift clicking medevacs, all right? But no, it's actually like quite difficult to get going. And also you have to just make sure that you're safe, because this is actually a really greedy build by Clem. This is just 2 Hellions. If he was against any kind of like Roach, I'm not saying Roach Nidus, but big Roach Ravager kind of flood, he would die pretty much like 9 times out of 10, because there's no Banshee, there's no like super defenses. It would just be Stim Marines and not a lot of them. But he's done quite a bit of scouting here, and he's been very, very careful this game. And yeah, the 2-on-1 follow-up after the 3cc, you're right, it isn't something that we see all the time, but I'm glad that it's coming back into the meta.
Yeah, it feels like I watched TY do it, I mean, maybe even a year and a half, 2 years ago at this point. And I was like, oh, wow, that's super slick. That's like such a weird little difference that the Zerg player wouldn't be expecting. And then occasionally afterwards. And then now it's like, actually, I'm seeing it maybe once in every best of, honestly, as the Terran players really look to, I guess, bring in new material and new meta to throw off the Zerg. So at this point, Vanya, how is his scouting on this? His Overlord is just now dipping in to see that a 3rd CC is moving on over, sees a 3rd Rax being built. I mean, already suspicious, but only 2 Hellions out on the map, right? But then there it is, the fast second factory, only 3 barracks in the second factory, armory coming down, obviously long time before engineering bays are even started. This is going to be a lot of Widow Mines, it's going to be a lot of pressure, and we'll see how Vanya multitasks against it, because even Cyril and Raynor were having trouble.
Yeah, certainly. So you talked about it. That second factory is rather early. It's before the 4th and 5th barracks, and this is kind of like the new Cure style. He does have a fast +1/+1. Like, he'll be incredibly far ahead in upgrades, but do you know what doesn't care about upgrades, Zombie Drum? Widow Mines. Oh, doesn't even get a cancel on that hatchery either. Good stuff, Clem.
Yeah, I was pulling back his army and just didn't quite get the cancel there. That is very unfortunate. I'm not going to be banking any minerals quite yet. Queen's going to go down and then just lift off. Easy peasy. You do want to make sure to keep these 2 medevacs alive and pretty well alive too, as that's going to be an extra distraction, an extra bit of potential damage you can do alongside the other drops that are certainly going to be happening. And this will get stronger as it actually finishes up combat shields and starts its upgrades. I do like that you pointed out the upgrade difference, though. Vanya certainly is going to have beefier lings than we might expect against the Marines, but yeah, against the Widow Mines, I don't know if that +1's really going to help.
It's one of those things, right? Like, we do see massive trade-offs in what Terran are doing to slow down Zergs. So here, it's getting out a lot of units very quickly, and obviously the Widow Mines a lot faster than normal, and then just being in the Zerg's face. And Yeah, we have drilling claws on the way, but +1/+1 has just started for Clem, so his Marines, they are significantly worse against these Lings in these little skirmishes, but he's denying creep spread quite well by just being on the map, and yeah, killing that 4th base was great, but now, okay, the Widow Mines will start dropping, and this is where he's really going to be testing Vanya to see how he deals with it.
Yeah, I'm eager to see, man, because I've seen some really good Zergs, and they struggle against it. And you might also think like isn't the downside that he won't have a lot on the defensive? I mean, no, actually, I thought that would be a downside, but when I looked back when Cure was doing this, he was actually just staying mostly at home with everything else. So like run buys weren't very effective, and because it's such a fast second factory, like there isn't actually that much of a lack of Widow Mines, even though you're sacrificing them with all the drops that you're doing. So it's actually a very frustrating style, and I'm eager to see a Zerg player adapt to it really, really well. Great start there by taking care of at least one of the medevac drops. The Widow Mines are starting to get dropped themselves as well, but good pull away at that 3rd base. Nitas are on top of it, and actually none of them get hit. There's an Overlord and a good cancel drone, so I mean, so far some pretty decent defense. Left side as well. Widow Mines not getting very much.
Yeah, I mean, all said and done, Vanya's actually dealing with this pretty darn well. One drone has died to all of this so far, and his 2-2 is very close to being done. This is kind of the timing that he has to worry about, though, because Clem, he did deal with the squad in the middle of the map with his own Widow Mines. His 1-1 is about to finish. If Vanya can hold on just for a little bit longer, which I think he can, as long as he cleans it up just in time, just in time, he'll be 2-2 against 1-1 for quite some time. Oh, but he's attacking. I'm not sure this is the right move.
Yeah, we'll see how this works out. Clem is absolutely paying attention. He's bringing back his Marines, having the Widow Mines actually try and get their best shots. There's so many Widow Mines as well. You figure it's eventually going to clean things up. Finally, everything's been cleaned up, and that last Widow Mine shot on top of the Nitas was pretty nasty as well. Yeah, I'm not sure if Vanya should have taken the engagement right there. I can kind of see where he's coming from. Everything was really bulked up. The Widow Mines are kind of on the front lines all together, so that's when the eyes get wide, right, for the Zerg player. But maybe an overextension. His supply did plummet. He's still trying to do it, though.
His supply super plummeted, and the Widow Mines do get some damage, and GG, Vanya taps out fairly early here. But yeah, Zombie Grove, we've got to talk about something there. Like, his 2-2 was literally seconds away from finishing there, and he chose to take the fight anyway, all the way off creep. That was just very ambitious by Vanya, I believe. Yeah. Again, maybe just saw hoping that Clem wasn't paying attention as well, but I guess what's also worth noting is that even though he's dealing with the Widow Mines really well, there was that earlier not count on the hatchery that really did suck for him. And then when I looked back on his drone count at the end of that game, I was like, oh, did the Widow Mines get more damage than I thought they did? They'd killed about 12 drones, I think, and he was at 59 drones, which, I mean, it seems like something that could be another reason why he tapped out, but I don't know, it seemed like he was actually getting his ducks in a row. It seemed like his feet were under him, and it was really just that overextension that started to throw it away from him. So I don't know what he was feeling. If he was actually, thinking, oh, I'm not doing a great job against this, I have to take a risk here, or he just really thought it was going to work out, and maybe he thought his 2-2 was done as well. I don't know, but that's unfortunate, because I thought that was a really good setup, and I was going to see some excellent back and forth TPZ. You can definitely tell that he's good, right? Everything else besides the last few moments, but that's all it takes is for one thing to go wrong against a guy that's as good as Clem. But also, we can talk about the unfortunateness of it all. Say if he clicks on those Marines just as they turn 1-1, and he's like, oh, they've been 1-1 for a while, haven't they? And it's like, when do I take the next fight and stuff? So we get to see everything. And the way that Clem plays, given that it is very in your face, it's very fast tempo, it's hard to be like, oh, well, I've been in this situation before against other Terrans, because other Terrans don't necessarily play as fast as Clem does. And I mean, maybe he felt that he shut down everything so well that he's like, oh, now's my time to pounce. I'm against one of the best Terrans in the world right now. But yeah, unfortunate for him to say the least. But second map will be Oxide between these two players. And if there's one thing that is very apparent for me on Oxide, it's lots of this high grass in pretty cool locations. A player like Clem with the Widowmine baiting and stuff that he does with the medevacs, this could definitely be quite problematic for Vanya.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting terrain features about Oxide that we can kind of go into detail more when we're in the game and the visual goes around. But I've always considered Oxide kind of It's for me, it's like Golden Wall was for me last season, which is I love watching it, but I hate playing on it. It is a map that will absolutely force like a very left side or right side type of map split. You know, like it's hard to direct your pushes to a single direction as well as defend your bases. I'm talking about Protoss and how slow their units can be, like go to left or right. I don't know, I always find it difficult, but it's a very different matchup in TDZ. I think it's a lot more about the grasses you were talking about, as well as some of these positionings where you can put tanks behind these rocks. Again, more things to highlight when we're actually in the game. But game 2 is here on Oxide, and Vanya did try and play a macro game. And I thought it was actually a pretty okay one, except for that hatchery mistake. But we'll see if he changes his mind coming into game number 2, does something a little bit cheekier. In the bottom left, as the blue Terran, he is Team Liquid's Clem.
And spawning over in the top right, as the Red Zerg, one of many of Rotterdam's children, it is Vanya.
Yeah, Roddy was a believer in him when he was really just unknown. I mean, this is back when TSL was happening. And, you know, we were like, oh, poor Vanya. He's going to go up against Cyril in the lower bracket because that was such a shock that Cyril got sent into the lower bracket. And, yeah, he took that game, right? But, you know, ultimately lost out. And then he was such a big believer in the first season of DreamHack and DreamHack Summer. And it was like, yeah, okay, Roddy, like, let's see what happens. And I really felt like he did prove himself. Even though he didn't do, like, super spectacularly that first season, I feel like he has... You know, he's been chosen. He is going to continue being uplifted thanks to the Roddy blessing and is just continue to be better and better. And certainly if he could go toe-to-toe with Clem, and I mean even a 20-minute game that's back and forth that Vanya ultimately loses, I would still be like, damn, that's impressive. Because we just have such high respect for Clem.
Certainly, certainly. I'm looking at the builds here, Zombie Grub, and Clem opted for gas first this game, which is something that's gone a little bit out of the meta. Just because barracks first, getting that marine out second, it's so common now, it's so safe. But he's also opting to SCV scout both these games against Vanya, which that is interesting for me because I'm still one of those Terrans that's like kind of in the I guess the Bronze Age kind of thing where it's like, oh yeah, I just open up barracks first every time, I don't SCV scout. But it really shows that he's respecting his opponent and just making sure that he doesn't get caught off guard by any of Vanya's craziness.
Yeah. And he's going to be going into a second gas geyser. So no 3cc here, but could still be going into just that regular Sim Liberator, stuff that you were talking about, which would still leave you a little bit weak to earlier to mid-game aggression. This Reaper still has a job to do besides just trying to kill a couple of Lings. So it's going to keep track on any surprise Roach Warrens, which I'm not sure if Oxide's like super popular for that, but I feel it really depends on how stressed Vanya is about getting a map here. Like, does he think he can actually go toe-to-toe with Clem? Did he immediately upon the end of that last game go, oh yeah, I just shouldn't have pushed out, otherwise it was okay? Or is he actually just, that was his attempt and he was like, oh, that didn't work, okay, let's go back to something more aggressive?
Yeah, I like Vanya. He's always been one of those players, like as long as I've known him, which it's been a few years on ladder now, you know, we have a pretty close relationship in that regard, but he's always been a very cheeky, focuses on aggressive Zerg builds and timings, like almost like a little Elazer in a way. Elazer's always been very timing orientated too. Oh, this is very early by Clem though, so that gas first, these two Hellions are much earlier than normal. Nice wall off by Vanya thus far, but these could get a bit of damage done. Nice wall off again with these ego chambers.
Nicely done. Not too many Lings, but this is only 2 Hellions, so hard to get the second shot that's crucial to actually killing these drones. He's gonna try and escape and actually meet up with 2 more Hellions. How is this Reaper still alive? Okay. 12 more Lings are on the way. The Queens are trying to follow suit. And Clem is finally going to back away from that drone line, but that was a bit scary. Oh, and Vanya actually getting a couple of SCVs. Actually pretty nice hold there.
It was a really nice hold, actually. One thing that was happening during that, so I didn't even get to see the counterattack that Vanya planned, but what a calm opening by him. He didn't super overmake Lings. The first 2 Hellions showed up, and he started making 3 extra sets, as well as 6 drones, which I was like, that is the trademark of a good Zerg. Not over-making too many units, but here we do see a Roach Warren by Vanya and a Cloak Banshee being the follow-up for Clem. So already a very different game by both of them.
You know, his Overlord just saw that Banshee, and I wonder if that's going to change his mind or anything. Apparently not. I'm going to continue building this Roach Warren. Big Ling run by trying to get in here. It's kind of a weak command center, and the Hellions are no longer being produced, so this could be kind of bad, but the Hellions get into the natural, try and get some damage done. 6 drones going down. That's actually fine if he actually gets his 3rd command center canceled, and I'm kind of worried that he will. There's nothing to stop the Lings from doing it.
No, and I mean, like, that one Marine that's coming over, I think Vanya's catching Clem super off guard here, because, yeah, that CC is going to fall, and it's... is it going to fall?
Cancel. Woof. I mean, it hurts to cancel, but you definitely don't want to just straight up lose it. And now, of course, the Lings are in the natural with Banshee's trying to clean things up. They take a while to do so when it's this many Lings. Clem's going to really regret using his Hellions in such an aggressive manner. He's going to lose everything in the natural. Oh, not close, but 13 SCVs go down, and the command center that was about, what, halfway done was canceled? I mean, that was a powerful blow there, and certainly Clem's going to be having to come back from that.
Yeah, now we've got a game on our hands, you know, like normally when it's Clem, and this is me being a little bit of a fanboy, I'll be like, okay, this is an unfair matchup because I do feel Clem's better, but now we're going to see what he chooses to do to try and get back into this, and right now it's going to be quite a bit of Cloak Banshee harass. Vanya's doing a really good job, though, of like trying not to take too much damage, and we'll see what they get done.
Always pulling away, not letting more than 1 drone go down. Sportcaller take care of things, even trying to save drones when he can. I mean, the Banshees, they're doing their job, really. If they get, like, maybe 10 drones, it seems like could be a serious threat there. There you go, 9. Yeah, definitely 10. And then maybe even 1 escapes to alert him of, like, or to help him against the Roach push that Vaughn is going to be doing. 1-1 is on the way. He scouted the Roach Warren. He actually built another Banshee, which I am actually super okay with. Not that they're going to do any more damage necessarily, but I think they'll really help with the push.
The fact that he managed to get that done was actually pretty incredible. Like, that was really good on both parts, but Clem is just making something happen out of nothing. And, you know, when I send 2 Banshees at my opponent, they don't get this magically done, especially when your opponent already had, like, 6 Queens and Spores seemingly in the correct positions, but he just went in all the perfect locations to get damage done.
That was kind of crazy. Geez. So, I mean, there's going to be 2 Banshees still kind of patrolling, looking for the Roach push, helping out against it, clearing up creep. And then Clem also may try and do a drop while he can before the push comes. It is going to be kind of dangerous. I mean, I got to figure that Clem is like 100% in the know. You know, if there's a Roach Warren and no Roaches were built in an early game aggression, it's going to be that 1-1 Roach push, which also seems to be, maybe this is going to be another map that's popular for it. But we'll see about that as we continue to develop on the map pool. Another Queen found out, not quite. I wouldn't like if he lost the Banshees. Oh, God, he's going to pull him away.
Yeah, like those Banshees, they always put a clock on the push, right? Because I do think Vanya is going to go for that all-in. That 1-1 is very close to being done, and, you know, it's a lot of Overlords being made. Clem, moving out with everything like this? This is wild.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he thinks it's not going to be what happens. I mean, he's done this push and then has still held against the 1-1, like on this map, in fact. So, I mean, maybe he knows what he's doing. You know what? I'm just going to trust Clem. He knows what he's doing. Going to take a pretty good engagement with the tanks where they are. Finally, 1 goes down. They're getting a lot of shots, but now he's going to pick up and go home. So I think this happened like in the Open Cup this week where he I thought it was like a bad move. He saves his tanks, he goes back, and he still actually barely holds. But he also has 2 Banshees as well, and it's like, okay, maybe that was all right. Let's see how he holds this push.
Yeah, because now he knows. Now it's at his front door, and the Banshees, they're focusing down the Ravagers. The Biles are decent for sure. Oh, very good, in fact, getting all of those tanks, but Clem, he's managing to push this back, and there's nothing that shoots up, and these Ravagers getting focused down 1 by 1. That is a great play by Clem.
This 1 Queen wants to help out, but she really needed a buddy. These 2 Banshees are going to kind of lead the charge as Clem just immediately counterattacks. This is not what you'd usually want to do against someone on Roaches, and yeah, that's maybe a little bit overeager there. Especially because I would say for the most part, people are just going to continue hammering the all-in, right? Sometimes you'll see someone go for the 1-1 Roach and then like out of Bailing Nest and try and kind of play out like a mid-game, but I don't know, it feels like it isn't as popular as it once was. So no reason to be overzealous. Just, yeah, play the safe game here, build some bunkers, try and get a couple more tanks, because that certainly is his weak point right now. And this is a very good concave for the Zerg player.
I'm scared for Clem. Like, this might be the one position that he can't really defend. And oh my gosh, that is so much Vanya right now. There's one Banshee that's trying to do its job. There's a tank in the natural as well. Good shots from the siege tanks. Even the SCV is being pulled, but is this enough? It looks like Clem's sort of holding, but it's going to be really rough to hold.
Yeah, I don't it's not quite it. And now we have 3 queens, so finally the Banshees are going to be taken down. Well, eventually. Clem certainly has a decent number of medevacs to help out his bio, but it's such a small amount of bio. He's going to have to at least live up his 3rd base and lose all of the SCDs over there, or pull them into the engagement, I guess, maybe. Yeah, Clem, I applaud his, optimism here, but I think he has to just pull back.
I love this, by the way. This is what we talked about, right? Like, Clem, no matter what the situation he's in, he always tries his hardest. This Banshee is still alive with 20 kills, 21 kills now.
Oh.
Those are valuable units.
I thought the queens for sure would have taken care of it, but I guess because they were slow, they're on the backside, so that's why he was poking forward, because his bio was specifically to grab those queens, and whatever Ravagers were also falling behind. So this one Banshee is still being an absolute hero and certainly helping a lot in pushing that back. Clem, he actually only lifted his command center for 5 seconds and just made sure it didn't die. He didn't even lose that many SCVs. Not usually how you'd see a hold against that many roaches happen. Yet here we are, a hold indeed, and he's even going into 4th base. He's going to have 2-2 finish, so his bio is going to get better and better, where Vanya, it's going to get worse over time.
And that's the big thing here now. Clem's army just hit 2-2. This is the closest the supplies have been since doing the all-in, pretty much. That Banshee still being microed through thick and thin. The Ravage count also being super thinned out here. And Clem, he's sticking on the 133 spike. He's moving in as well with his bio. Is he going to be able to do this? I think he is. And finally, he takes a supply lead against Vanya. And Vanya, you see it in his face. He's like, oh my gosh, how did he hold this?
Yeah, I don't understand it, man. With this, plus Clem's last hold against this exact push on this map, plus Kier's hold with Widow Mines against the 1-1 Roach push, I'm starting to doubt if that's actually a good build, you know? I'm just going to judge myself whenever I die to it, because these guys are holding in what seems like miracle ways, but then they're doing it over and over again. So Clem, no fear against this push. He has absolutely taken Vanya down. There's the